Hi there, I'm Mike Creavey for Homeschool Connections, and with me today is Homeschool Connections instructor Anastasia Brooks. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
It's funny because I've been doing a lot of these, and we just came off. My full-time job was the last week of school last week, so like my brain is kind of slowly coming back on track, and I just realized that you filled in for me before, so in Homeschool Connections. So you've been around the block here for a while with Homeschool Connections in a couple different capacities. Why don't you tell folks who don't know about you a little bit of your background and how you ended up teaching now for Homeschool Connections?
I've been with Homeschool Connections for the past several years. I started off as a student during the middle of my high school years, and then I did most of my high school work and graduated through Homeschool Connections. And then once I graduated, I took on the role as a course monitor for Homeschool Connections. So I've been around here for several years, and just starting to teach for them has been such a blessing. To be able to be signed on as a teacher has been such a blessing for that.
Oh yeah, I'll bet. And one, I can speak for I think all the instructors here of just how essential the course monitors are. Because I know,
Yes.
it just makes it so much easier to just focus in and do what all of us with our different fields and everything are there to do. It's just knowing that that flows so well. So thank you for doing that, and thank all of our course monitors too. So yeah.
Course the course monitors, we love it. We love being able to engage with the students, and we love being able to be of assistance to the teachers, as we've had teachers tell us how much stress it takes off of them, is that there's other homeschooling
Yeah.
programs who don't have the course monitors, and it's just a much more chaotic environment as a result.
Absolutely. Well, now, but we're so excited here today to talk to you about this course or courses. We can get
Course.
into here a little bit. Just why don't you tell us a little about what you have on the horizon here, and this sounds really exciting and really timely too.
To be starting off, I am privileged to have received permission from both Behold Publications and Endow Ministries to turn their girl clubs into courses for middle school and high school girls. Using Behold Publications' Little Flowers Virtue program, we will be turning those wreaths into individual semester-long courses for middle school girls on virtue formation and form how to effectively live out virtue within their own life. They will learn to identify vices. They will learn how to implement techniques to really strive and to grow in that virtue. With Endow Ministries, I will be using their high school series. Each book will be a semester long course, and we'll be addressing topics such as what is love, the mystery of the feminine genius, the mystery of beauty. There is so much within that. Girls will be going over the inherent dignity of the person. They'll be going over the steps of Catholic social teaching and what John Paul II and other Pope Leo XIII really meant by that, and learning how to live that life and learning how to live those out in their own everyday life, as it makes such an impact once you can understand the inherent dignity of a person, and it just changes your mind. It just changes your perspective so much on how you view the human person once you understand their inherent dignity. And through that as well, girls will learn their own inherent dignity as daughters of God, that they're not an object of the world, that they are daughters
Mm,
of God who have a mission in this world, and to live that out to its fullest extent. They will learn how to build community, leadership qualities, how to take initiative, and how to confidently
yeah.
live out their feminine genius.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and just as a well, so we have a son who's 18 months old right now at the time of this recording, but until he came along, I was an exclusive girl dad. So our older two children are girls, and so that's, I mean, for me, this is like wonderful to hear for me just personally too. And seeing all those challenges out there. Is this so was this something, an area that has obviously, for you, I imagine, has been particularly important? How's that look like, or what has that looked like for you, especially like John Paul II, on this feminine genius? What's that sort of philosophically and theologically kind of been like for you, the understanding?
So even though I was homeschooled, I was in my early teenage years, I was starting to lean towards a feminist mindset, and then I got introduced to
Mm,
Latin, to the traditional Latin mass, which then I went radically embracing my femininity. But then I just found when I was 18, 19, this wasn't fulfilling me. It felt more like a stereotype. And I discovered through John Paul II his writings on the feminine genius and his vision on it, on what women really are, what women have to offer to the world. I like to quote St. Edith Stein: the world does not need what women are. The world does not need what women have. The world needs what women are. And that is just
mm,
so true to effectively living out a woman's femininity. She's not just she's not constantly working. She's not just a mother. She is so much more. Maternity is one of the pillars of the feminine genius, but there is so much more in to go in depth within that. There's sensitivity, receptivity, generosity. The feminine heart is precious and sacred in the eyes of God, and it offers so much to the world. And I hope that for me, what I personally found, I was able to more effectively live out my faith. I found more
Mm.
purpose within the eyes of God. I was able to truly embrace my identity as a daughter of God. And as a result, I became very passionate on wanting to spread the concept of the feminine genius to other girls. So if they find themselves questioning, what does it mean to live out my femininity as a young woman in the eyes of the world? Like, how do I be in this world, but also not of the world? How do I effectively live that out? And I believe John Paul II's writings on the feminine genius, and also other saints such as Saint Edith Stein, Alice von Hildebrand, their writings on women will help young girls understand the importance and value of their femininity and what it truly means. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of depth to it, and I could go on, but I know we're limited
Oh
on
my
right
gosh,
now.
that's awesome. Well, and let me ask you too here. So as far as like in the what you expect, or what you would hope for in terms of the class, I mean, it's somewhat predictive, I suppose, but how do you sort of see the typical class going, or like anything you want to share about that format, or how much sort of lecture or kind of discussion around these texts, or just how do you envision that going?
For high school Endow, we will be using the Socratic method. Girls will have to do reading, and then there are questions in the book that we will be going over. I expect that these conversations are going to lead to many other conversations, which girls will
Yeah.
actually be expected to continue within the course after the class. Is that there will be a discussion board as a homework assignment for them to continue on these topics. As I know, there's so much to cover, and we're only going to be able to cover so much within 55 minutes of class every week.
Yeah, it flies by. That's so good though. And I think, the I am at least in my experience, it seems like those discussions, especially if it's something that they can kind of engage in and lead out of that classroom setting, that's really what will make the difference. As important as, homework and assignments and having, the demonstrable nature of the grades, like these things that we have to do that are important. I think, it's those things that go beyond that that really have that special resonance, right, with their life and the challenges that they're going to face. Wow, yeah, this is exciting. So is there anything else in particular you want to share? I know one question I like to ask sometimes is if there's a fun or intriguing thing about you that someone reading your online bio might not know. That's always a fun one to
Mhm.
ask.
I am actively involved within the pro-life movement. I started this past year working as a door-to-door canvasser for Voices for Life. So you can
Oh,
catch me
wow.
doing that a few times a month and getting active within the pro-life movement wherever I can.
Wonderful. Well, Anastasia, thank you so much for coming on here today, just telling us a little bit and hopefully wetting the whistle, so to speak, getting young ladies interested in looking in this. If anything else, as far as for parents or potential students that you'd want to share about how to reach you if they have any questions or anything else like that?
I can be reached either on Caravel or parents can email me. Parents will have the option of seeing my email on Caravel and they can contact me that way. If parents have questions, do not hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to answer them. And I look forward to teaching your daughters.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Anastasia, for joining us here today and spending a little time just opening up this wonderful pathway here for your Homeschool Connections courses. We really encourage young ladies to check it out.
Of course. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. God bless you.